Good evening. Buy Black for Life, Buy Black for Life family, one and all. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, no matter where you are. Welcome to another Fireside Chat with your boy, Jay Hurt, founder, CEO of Buy Black for Life. I want to welcome you to another amazing conversation with another of our Buy Black for Life community members. And I just want to welcome you in. It's on a different night than we normally do, and we're doing it on a Monday night because this week is Thanksgiving. And to be honest with you, if Wednesday night is the night that everyone who's cooking for Thanksgiving, that's your prep night. So I wanted to move it to a Monday, and we'll probably be doing Mondays going forward so that we could have this conversation. And I really think this conversation is definitely important. Um, we probably should have had it earlier so we could get people to get some of the products that you have. But Buy Black for Life family, I want to introduce you to Charmayne Bradberry. She is the business owner of Betty Nicole's. Charmayne, welcome and thank you for blessing us with your presence. Share with the Buy Black for Life family a little bit about who you are. Just give us a
Please.
short bio about who you are.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I am Charmayne Bradberry. I am a Chicago native who resides in Atlanta. Um, I am the owner of Betty Nicole's Bistro. We originally opened our doors in 2017 here in Atlanta, Georgia, and we began to pivot the business a little bit due to the pandemic, of course, and we went mobile for a while. Meanwhile, we developed a no salt seasoning line that we are promoting heavily. And Yeah, I'm an author. I'm a four-time self-publisher of four books. I have a personal memoir, two children's activity books, and of course a cookbook. Um, I wrote my books during my downtime in an effort to promote education, promote health and wellness, and just to give everyone an idea of who Charmaine is outside of cooking in the restaurant.
Okay. Well, welcome, Charmayne. I'm glad to have you here.
Thank you.
And being a New Yorker, as I am, and always the conversation when you talk about Chi Town and you talk about New York. So, Charmaine, who has the best pizza, New York or Chicago?
Well, of course, Chicago does have the best pizza.
I
Is
expected
that a
nothing
trick
less.
question?
Nothing less.
Yeah. And I say that because of my loyalty, of course, to my city. But I'm have to be honest. I've had New York style pizza, but I have not actually tried New York pizza. So it's a little biased, but of course, I'm rolling with the Chi Town.
Okay, okay. Well, just so you know, if you have New York pizza, real New York pizza, and my New Yorkers are going to get it, what I am talking about. First of all, it has to be in the hood.
That's
And
important.
absolutely important. And basically, when you get your pizza, you have to be able to turn it over and let the oil just drip off. That's New York pizza
Okay.
at its best. If you don't have any oil dripping on it, it's not New York
Okay.
style. I don't care what anybody says. So many people, oh yeah, I've had New York style. Okay, is the grease dripping off? And they will tell you no.
If there's no grease, it's not the
It's
authentic
not New
pizza, huh?
York. No. So
Okay.
welcome. I want to jump right in because it it's very important. Something that you said in talking about who you are. So one of the first things is it's Betty Nicole's, right? And
Yes,
you started it as it was a restaurant. Am I correct?
correct.
Okay. Tell us about the restaurant and what had you pivot and move into what is now it's mobile now. Am I correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay, tell
Yes.
us a little bit about that.
So basically, Betty Nicole's, first of all, my namesake, Betty was my grandmother, my late grandmother, and Nicole was my late sister.
Mm,
Um, my family went through a tremendous amount of loss in such a short period of time. So, in an effort to kind of channel that grief, um, I decided to, open a restaurant and name it with their name. I've always wanted to open a restaurant, and that's one of the things that I set out to do when I relocated to the Atlanta, Georgia area. Um, but I didn't know what kind of restaurant. So just being here and being homesick and not getting that authentic Chicago food, it was only right that I would do a Chicago style restaurant.
okay.
Of course, paying homage to my late grandmother and my late sister, who both passed away due to health conditions and certain ailments. Both had diabetes. My grandmother suffered from high blood pressure, and she did pass away with a couple different cancers. Um, so after opening the restaurant, well, that was a great thing because it was good for our family. But I got really, really, really engaged with the community, and I wanted to figure out ways that I can give back and not only feed the community but in a more healthier way.
Right.
So outside of our like back to school drives, our feed the homeless drive, I developed this seasoning. And while we were open, I would use that seasoning in the restaurant on our chicken, on our pork chops, or anything that called for a seasoning.
Mhm.
And it was a hit. I would not salt the fries. I just took certain little small initiatives to kind of encourage healthier choices and healthier eating. We also offered vegan versions of our famous Chicago style sandwiches as well. So again, once the pandemic hit, it was very difficult keeping the doors open and staying afloat
Right.
during that time. So of course it's Betty Nicole's forever. So we had to pivot a little bit and figure out a new way to survive and
Mhm.
continue. So we decided to go mobile, well, of course, when it was safe to open up again.
Right.
And then I just went full throttle with the seasonings. I began to suffer from a lot of health conditions running that restaurant.
Mm,
Very hectic, very stressful. So I began to develop chronic hypertension and other things. And those things, that, along with losing family members due to health conditions, is what made me really research and hone in to this whole seasoning idea.
right.
I began to research the different herbs, what they're good for, what works well with what,
Mhm.
and I just developed these seasonings. I started with 3 flavors, and we've graduated to 11 no salt seasoning flavors.
Awesome. And I see you have a sign in the background that has pictures of some of the seasonings on it. So
Yes,
talk about what research you did. So I get it that, because hypertension, diabetes, hypertension, what you just named, it is so rampant in communities, our communities. You talk
it
about
is.
being from Chicago. You're in Atlanta right now, me in New York. Let's just face it, when you're in big cities like where we are from, you're going to find that hypertension and diabetes are things that our people deal with. And I understand that's what moved you to say, let me find a different alternative that's going to, assist with that while not making it
Right.
worse. So what research did you do in order to get these products, these herbs into your seasonings?
So basically, just a lot of reading. If I can back up a little bit, before going into the entrepreneurship and the restaurant business, I was in healthcare. So I'm a certified medical assistant as well as a nursing assistant. I've always had a passion to help others and care for others. So I just dug into a lot of scholarly articles, a lot of medical research. I read up on the different herbs. I began to grow them. I will take my soil and get it tested at Home Depot, and
Oh,
I
really?
started growing an indoor nursery per se, because again, like you mentioned, hypertension, diabetes, those things are running rapid through our African American communities. And the scariest part about it is we were taught that that's old folks or older
Right.
folks type of disorder or disease. But what's happening is it's grabbing a hold of the youth as well.
Mhm.
And so I just felt my duty to be able to educate myself and others, on what what comes from the earth that can help us outside of being medicinal or pharmaceutical.
Right.
And so, yeah, I just read up on how they grow, what are the uses of them, of the different herbs, ginger and rosemary. Ginger's good for nausea. Ginger's full of antioxidants, and I wanted some of the antimicrobial herbs and things of that nature. So it took a few years
Mhm.
before I felt comfortable with, setting out, with more flavors and expanding. Because again, I wanted to make sure that I myself was educated on what I'm doing and using, because we as African Americans, we don't read as much as we should. We're not reading our labels. We don't know our sources. And
Right.
so with that being said, I wanted to be the source, and
Mm.
if that makes sense.
It does. Yes, we need that. And it's interesting. So you basically talk about you're growing these herbs yourself. You're not. So
Correct.
what was the process of that in you doing that? Because
So,
I think COVID has shown us that's the kind of things in our communities that we need to be doing more of. We need to be growing our own food. So what was that process like for you?
yeah, so initially that wasn't the goal, but I got so into it. I
Mhm.
got so deep into it, that I just wanted to, be authentic as I can. And that's what Betty Nichols is known for, being authentic.
Right.
And so with that being said, I'm like, well, how can I just go buy something, bottle it up, and put my name on it and resell it? I mean, people do that every day, but that wasn't my goal. That wasn't what I wanted to do. I wanted to know and be confident about the ingredients that I am bottling up. So yeah, initially I did not grow them. That came about this past 2 years. I just got so in depth with it that, and once I started to see everything growing and growing so well, now I'm growing all other type of vegetables and peppers and tomatoes and things like that. Also, I started a Facebook group. We didn't get too far, but
Mhm.
it's called "Come Sow with Me" because I want to encourage other African Americans to, not be to normalize growing our own food. Even if you start with just a small herb garden in your kitchen, once you see that that grows and that works for you, then you'll graduate to something else. And that's pretty much what we did. So it feels amazing to go downstairs and grab a couple peppers and tomatoes for tonight's dinner. And I know that I grew that. I know that
Yeah.
there's no
Your hands.
chemicals,
Yes.
there's
Right.
no pesticides,
Right.
no miracle grow, none of that stuff. I was just using all natural stuff, coffee beans, banana peels, so I
Wow.
had to learn about growing herbs and plants as well. So it's been a tremendous learning process for me.
Mhm.
But the most rewarding thing is that I have reversed my chronic hypertension
Yeah.
by totally dedicating myself to my own herbs. Like before, I would just sell them and might go use Slap Your Mama or Lorry's or something of that nature.
Right.
And it's like, well, what's the point of you convincing people that you can make food taste good without all that salt?
Right.
And not only that, if you, it's all about moderation. So if you still want salt, you're free to add, your salt, but you know how much salt that you're adding and that you're actually ingesting. So it's a learning experience. A lot of people run away when you speak healthy, when you talk about these type of things, but it's definitely necessary.
Right. And let's stay along the lines of your own health and well-being, because as you said, as you started creating these products, you found the benefits for yourself. Or,
Absolutely.
I'm sure the doctors were like, "Well, here are these pills," but you
Yeah,
you you made an effort and a conscious effort at that you were going to find
absolutely.
it via your own products. Talk about that. And the dope
Well,
that I'm sure that's a dope feeling, like, oh, I created this and it's helping me. I can't
yeah.
even imagine how amazing that feeling is.
Yeah, it's a humbling, amazing feeling, especially suffering from chronic hypertension. I've been dealing with that for decades, probably since my late teens, early 20s. I was a young mother, a teenage mom, and so due to being pregnant young and just not being very educated on what I was doing to my body and myself. I started to develop gestational diabetes, and I started to get the hypertension from the pregnancy. So I am a mother of six. In each pregnancy, I suffered more and more because it just kind of got out of hand, and I was on five different medications at one point.
Wow.
Most recently, about 3 years ago, I was on three medications for hypertension and a pill, like a water pill. And what really made nudge me was, I don't know if you can remember, a few years back, they kept recalling certain
Yes.
hypertension medications.
Yes. Yes, I do.
So just so happened, each medication that was recalled, I had been taking for years.
Wow.
And so now I'm freaked out because I'm like, hey, they've been giving me this stuff for over
What's the
7, 8, 9,
damage?
10 years.
Yes.
What's
Yes.
the damages that have caused? Am I going to develop cancer from these carcinogenic, properties, or what's going on? So that's what really made me take not only my chronic hypertension, as they called it, but just figuring out ways to get off of that medication,
Right.
and again, I started these seasons back in 2017, but I didn't push and promote them until I was confident and I knew that they worked. And I have records where you can see my hypertension was woo. I used to be like 180 over 120. I would be hospitalized constantly, being pregnant and not being pregnant. It was just really starting to affect me as I got started to get older. So once I decided to go back to school when I relocated to Atlanta, because remember, you're talking about a teenage mom and a high school dropout.
Right.
So when I relocated to Atlanta, I had some things to accomplish.
I get it. Yes.
I went back to school, of course, so I have a master's now in management. And I opened my restaurant, and I just decided to take the steps into a healthier life, a healthier lifestyle for me. Eliminate the stress, change my way of eating, eliminate the salt. And look, I'm doing amazing. My blood pressures have been amazing.
I love that. I love that story. And
Thank you.
when we were talking about this, it made me realize this is not just about food and seasoning. This is about health and well-being. Um, as
Yep.
and again, our community. I mean, I'm challenged constantly, and my wife and I are constantly talking um, about the fact that there are family and friends all around us that are
Yeah.
suddenly passing away from things that, if we had eaten properly or wasn't heavy with the salt and things of that sort, these are diseases and sicknesses that we probably could have prevented. So um, you're here to share about that. And again, I want you to touch on again. You said um, your business is named Betty Nicole's, and it's because of your grandmom and your sister, I believe you said.
Correct.
Talk about their influence on, because it is obviously you named it, you put their names together to be part of this business. Their influence with what they went through that has you where you are.
Absolutely. My grandmother was like a second mom. She was like my mom. She was a grandmother who loved all the children. She took care of all the grandkids, helped raise all the grandkids, and she had an impactful influence on me on being independent as a black woman. And it's stuck with me to this day. Um, it was very hurtful to lose her, especially with the different, diseases and cancers and things of that nature.
Right.
Um, and so I felt like if I can help someone else avoid that. As far as my sister goes, in 2014, my sister passed away. She was 29 years old. She was my baby sister. My mom has three children. I am the oldest. I have a brother and half brother and sister, and then she was my only sister, blood sister. When I lost her and we found out that one of her causes of death was diabetes, which caused heart issues, um, that's when I knew something has to be done because I wasn't aware that she had diabetes, and I'm not even sure that she was aware.
Oh wow.
Um, but again, my sister, she was a young woman, healthy young woman for the most part, who took care of herself. She was in her late 20s, lots of partying, lots of drinking, and the drinking um, is kind of what introduced those ailments into her life. So again, 2012 is when my grandmother passed. 2014, my sister, and it went on and on from that point. But those are the things that made me know that I have to do something. Something has to be different. Who I wouldn't want anyone else to go through that pain and that wanting to give up. When my sister left, I was near my bachelor's, the end of my bachelor's program, and I didn't think I could finish. I was like, I'm done. I can't. But I believe in God. I am
Yeah,
Christian, and
same
He's
here.
good, and
All the
He
time.
carried me when I couldn't, and I ended
Yeah.
up walking with honors, that year, and so everything I do, I try to make it for them. It's an effort to build generational wealth and legacy for my children, but also a legacy of family.
Hmm.
Even when we pass on, I just want everyone to know their story. I want everyone around the world to know our story.
I love that. Are any of your kids involved in the business with you, or do they work with you?
Absolutely.
I love that.
Absolutely. So actually all of the children were employees. They all worked in the restaurant.
Hmm.
So my oldest two children were cooks. My mom was a cook.
Wow.
My other two sons would do the register. And I have adult children, four adult children. Then I have two babies.
Hmm.
But they had a candy store. They co-wrote the two children books that we talked about earlier. And then my 8-year old daughter she started a germ fighting lip gloss line.
Oh wow.
So she wanted to do something to help during the pandemic, and she came up with these ideas. So we made it happen.
I love it.
She has like germ fighting, immune boosting, different glosses and
Love
balms
that.
for the children. And so, yeah, the kids are very involved.
And is she part of Buy Black for Life?
She is not yet, but we
Come
will
on now,
definitely make sure she'll be a
stop.
part as of this
And let me tell
year.
you, and I'm getting ahead of myself with this announcement. So one of the most amazing things we did in Buy Black for Life in 2021
Hmm.
was for Black History Month. All of our kidpreneurs, all of our young people who have businesses, we ask them to create a video where they share um, a historical black figure.
Okay.
And in addition to that, the second thing is to talk about their business, right? We gave them 2 to 5 minutes, however long they wanted to go, in talking about that. When I tell you the amazement of that, you would think like there would that everybody's going to pick those historical figures that we all know. There was
Hmm.
one, for example, a young man who talked about his father being the first black mayor in one of the suburbs here in New York.
Wow.
I voted for his grandfather, and he was sharing about that. There was
Mm.
another the amazement that and creativity that these young people came with, it had me. I mean, I got emotional. Like I'm
Yeah.
sitting there and I'm watching these videos and I'm having to place them on different days so that they automatically launch on different days. I'm getting emotional because it's and the parents even came back to me and they said, Jerome, you gave our our son and or daughter a homework assignment and they took it so serious. It was powerfully moving, powerfully amazing. By mid-December, I'm going to make an official announcement so
Hmm.
that by January, the end of January, and starting February 1, we could start doing that. And I'd love it if your baby girl would be part of that.
She'll
Um,
love to.
that I mean, because and I'm not gonna leave people who are new to it. I'm not gonna leave
Hmm.
you hanging. I'm gonna show some of the videos. It'll blow your mind. It I mean the fun that the kids had with it.
Yes.
It was absolutely moving. And I say that because I think it's so vitally important what you're doing in number one, including your children in your business, teaching them about generational wealth. I'm a financial professional. It's all that I want our people to recognize and see. We have to close the wealth gap. The wealth gap is so wide, it's not even funny. And you're doing that. You're showing them, listen, if mom could be her own boss, so can you.
Hmm.
What made you want to even do something like that for your children?
Well, again, like you said, it's very vital that we nurture our children. I knew I wanted to run a restaurant when I was a little girl.
Mm,
So these kids are creative, they're optimistic, they have amazing ideas, and more importantly, they're our future. And
yes,
so I think it's very important that I and my kids, like they help me grow. They help me plant the seeds. So they watch the whole process and they get more and more engaged because they're like, oh wait. And every day they will come home to see how big one of the other plants have grown. And being a mother of many, of
right,
six,
right.
I birthed six children, but my husband and I, we have 10 children all together. And so it's more like what they say when you lead by example.
Yes,
You lead by example. And so I just wanted to show them that there's nothing too big for them. They can be a part of anything that I'm doing because I want them to be, because they're going to be the ones that carry on everything,
absolutely.
one day when
Carry it
I'm not
forward.
able to be here.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. That's so vital. I love that. When I hear that, I mean that's the blueprint, right? I know I
No.
did not have that when I was, growing up. We just didn't have that growing up. That spirit of being an entrepreneur. And you're getting some love. This is a great discussion. Wish I could share this on my page. Actually, we via YouTube, you have the ability to actually share it to your page via our YouTube page, Buy Black for Life. We are on
Okay.
YouTube. You could certainly share it there. Hallelujah, Mother Seasonings. So you're definitely getting
Yes,
some
yes,
love
yes.
out there. And I want to just pivot a little bit because also one of the things that we are doing, and it's all about engaging our community. And I know you are also an author.
Yes.
I, you wrote 4 books. Um, talk to us about one in particular that you shared with me. Honey, wash your face, overcome your past, and walk in your purpose. Tell us what. I mean, don't give us all of it, but because we want people to read it. And I have the link right here where you could actually go via Amazon and you could purchase this book. I'll also put it in the chat for any of those who are watching. To please let's this is what Buy Black for Life is. We buy from our own. So please share just a little nugget about this piece that you've written.
Honey, wash your face. Was definitely written out of obedience from God. It's a story about my life growing up in Chicago. It's about my journey, and although God told me to write this, I also felt like it may be encouraging or inspiring to anyone who questioned their faith and their purpose and their passion. So it's all about not letting what happened in the past dictate your future. I was very transparent in the book. I just want people to know that, no matter what it started off as, it's all about how you finish the race.
Mm.
And writing that book got me top 25 authors of Chicago for 2021. So I'm just grateful and humbled by God that just He's ordering my steps. He's letting me know what I need to do and what I shouldn't do. And that book was definitely written and published out of obedience from God. Um,
Was
I
it
didn't,
personal? Was it something that inspired
very
it inward?
personal.
Okay.
Um, very personal. I grew up in the hood. I grew up rough in a rough upbringing, a rough neighborhood. And I just
And
didn't want
maybe
to be
some
a
of your
product
people
of
are in
my
here.
environment.
Rockville, Illinois is up in here. I see
Yes.
you,
Hello,
Rockford.
Rockford.
I see you. I see you.
Yes.
We'll talk about pizza later, Rockford. We'll talk about it again. New York up in
Yes.
here.
Yes,
I'm
yes,
sorry.
yes.
Go
I know
ahead,
all
Charmaine.
about Rockford. And so yeah, it's about my personal story. Growing up in Chicago, having the odds stacked against me, surviving things, rape, molestation, things we don't talk about, things people are afraid and ashamed or embarrassed to talk about. We talking about it. This book is all about setting souls free. We being delivered. We gonna cry, we gonna hurt, we gonna process that pain, and when we done, we gonna wash our face, and
Mm.
we gonna get up, and we gonna keep it moving.
And again, me being a huge fan of Chicago, loving Chi Town, have one of my boys actually, Nick. Nick Brailsford is in Chicago. I miss you, Nick. My brother, my man. Um, there are so many amazing stories that are happening in Chi Town that aren't talked about. We
Absolutely.
and that's one of the things we have to be intentional about as black people. Let the media talk about the negativity that is Chicago, right?
Yeah.
They do it about Chicago, they do it about New York, they do it
Mhm.
about LA. All around the country where it's our communities, they talk about the negativity. You are the positivity that has come from Chicago. And these are the stories that we hold on to, that Chicago vibe. Like,
Yes.
and you had talked about earlier, and I meant to bring this up. You said one of the things that when you went to Atlanta, you wanted to have a Chicago style restaurant.
Correct.
Explain to me what a Chicago style restaurant is.
So basically, I brought Chicago to Atlanta. There are a lot of Chicagoans here in Georgia, and there are a lot of fake Chicago style restaurants here in Georgia.
Wait, you said fake?
Fake. Um, and so basically we do the Chicago inspired dishes. What if you're from Chicago, born and raised, if you had our food, I wanted to bring you that experience right here from Georgia. And so that's what we did. We sold our Italian beefs, our Maxwell Street Polishes. So everything Chicago we had in my restaurant. So when you come to visit us, it'll
Felt
take
like
you
home.
back.
Felt like
Yeah,
home.
make you
Yeah.
feel like you're at home.
And
You
that's
know,
love. I
the
love it.
infamous mild sauce and all those other little things Chicago food brings about. We were deemed the most authentic here in Georgia.
Love that. Okay.
Yeah.
So right now, like you said, you're mobile. So I believe you said you had a food truck now.
Yes, we have a food cart. We don't now that the weather is getting, wintertime, we probably won't be out much. Most of the food truck events, things of that nature. But you are able to book us on our website. So we do private events. We also are on Grubhub.
Okay.
Um, and so yeah, but actually we're kind of gearing away from the restaurant feel of the business, and we're kind of pivoting towards something different. God is shifting the atmosphere and he's shifting the business as well.
Okay.
And so I'm just, the vessel. So I'm just being obedient and
Talk about
letting them
that.
order my steps.
Talk about it. Listen. I let God do what God do. Don't
Let them do what he do.
because we. I if you want to get a laugh, tell God your plans. Like God, all right, that's what you're gonna do. Let me tell you what you are really going to do, and that can only
Yeah.
be of God. So yes, thank you for that. Um, we still have a little bit of time left.
Okay.
And the love that you're getting is amazing. We put your
Thank
website
you.
in the chat. We put your book in the chat. Um, I want to ask what to me is my all-time favorite question because it's all about who we are, right?
Okay.
What does buying black mean to you?
Buying black means, first of all, knowing the importance of the black dollar.
Mm,
That's number one. Once we learn the importance of the black dollar, the rest makes sense. So we want to keep those dollars within our communities to see growth within our communities, within our neighborhoods, and our jurisdiction. Buying black for me means supporting other black entrepreneurs. um it means that, like, a lot of things I change my brands, because again I am educating myself more on the importance of the black dollar, and it's all about knowing the importance of it and keeping it within our communities and figuring out a way to make it grow and work for us. That's what buying black for me means.
I love that. I love it. Thank you for that. And it's all that. Like, and
Yeah, all that.
I love to hear that from. It's my favorite question because I just think um, we all have a piece and a part in number one what Buy Black for Life is, what this group is, um, and the importance of what buying black is. And the more that we get that messaging out there, I just believe the bigger and the broader that we can become.
Yes.
And please know the Buy Black for Life app is there. We have a Facebook group, we have YouTube. Um, 2023 is about to be crazy. We've already booked in February our first um, pop up shop, and that'll be in Charlotte, North Carolina, my old city. And
Okay.
we'll be putting something out there. We're going to have not only a pop-up shop, but we're going to also have a networking event. We're going to start getting out there because we need to meet our people. We need
Yes,
to talk to our people as to why, what it is that we are doing and what this mission is important, and also creating opportunities, not for us to compete with one another, but for us to collaborate with one another. I
yes,
may not have something that you may need, but I might have something that someone in your network needs, and the same with you, Charmaine. You may not have what someone needs, but someone in my network might might need something that you have, and that's the reason why we bring what I
absolutely.
call Black excellence to Buy Back for Life, of which you were that. As we get close to shutting down, Charmaine, anything more that you would like to share with the Buy Black for Life audience who are in 99 countries throughout the world? May it be that you're watching live or you're watching on replay. We thank you for being a part of it. But Charmaine, anything more that you would like to share with our audience, with our people?
Absolutely. I just like to piggyback on the importance of buying black, banking black, supporting our black farmers, supporting our people. We have to normalize trusting each other, one another. And if we mess up, allowing another chance. We do it every day with these big corporations. We go to Walmart, they mess up our order, we
We come
complain,
right
but
on
we're
back.
right back there. But when we're a black business and we drop the ball, we sometimes we can be our worst enemy. So I just want to encourage anyone that's listening, and it's baby steps. I'm not saying go out and throw out all your products and only buy black products, but I'm saying at some point let's get to that. Um, it's very important because if we allow them to, they'll wipe us out. And
Mm,
they know that when we're together and we come together, what strong of a force we are. And it's important that we keep educating ourselves and one another. Being black is everything to me. Growing up in the hood was everything to me. These are all the characteristics and things that make me who I am today, and all the things that make you go harder for what you believe in to pursue those dreams and passions. I am a living witness and testimony that whatever it is that you set your mind out to do, and you develop that relationship with God, and you believe in Him and believe in yourself, it will come to pass. I'm telling you, I am a living witness.
same
I
here.
knew when I was a little girl, oh, I'm gonna open a restaurant one day. And I just kept putting that into the atmosphere. And it took a little longer than expected. But to see that come to pass, it lets me know God is amazing. His word is still the truth. The blood still works. He's amazing. And you can do amazing things. You know, um, just use my story as an inspiration and some encouragement to just keep going, push forward. We have to challenge ourselves. It's very necessary, it's very important. I'm grateful for the opportunity. I thank you all so much for having me. And it's just a blessing in itself. So yes, I am an apologetically Christian black female. You got that absolutely right.
I love it.
And people look at me and they're like, wow, your story. And it's all God. It's God first, then me. I'm just the vessel, I'm just the messenger. And so I just want to be encouragement to somebody. You may have been out of school 20 years. So what? Go back. Look at me. I walk with honors and I have a master's. I haven't stepped foot in school in over 20 years. Um, and all the other things that I set out to accomplish, everything that God ordained me to do when I relocated to Georgia, I've done. And I am awed. And I'm just excited for what's next for myself and as far as the Betty Nicole's brand.
Love it. Love it. And Buy Black for Life will be right along there with you.
Thank
Atlanta will
you.
coming to you soon, so we could do another pop up shop in Atlanta. It's so important that we get out there and let people know who we are. And the most important thing, we are trying to help Black business owners not just start a business, maintain and grow your business. Um,
Absolutely.
One of my biggest passions that I'm working on is taking the continent of Africa and pulling them just a little bit closer to who we are. They want us, we should want them. And to have been there earlier this year, it was probably the most humbled I've ever been in my life. And I'm thankful for it. I got to leave the Buy Black for Life brand on the continent. I plan to bring
Amazing.
back more to the continent and bring, hopefully, them over here to be part of some of our pop up shops and just turn amazement for them over here. So,
Amazing.
Charmaine, I thank you so much for the
Thank
connection,
you.
for the conversation, for what you do and how you do. Um, I know there's going to be more. The book club, your daughter. I know there's going to, and not only that, but also um, Women's Health Month. No, Women's History Month. I always
Hmm.
reach out to the women in the group also for them to do the same things that we're going to have our young people do. I have it all lined up. It's already lined up, ready to go,
Amazing.
because when we have an engaged community, we can have a bigger and broader community. Well, we've been
Yes.
stuck on 99 countries. I'm not satisfied with that. There are black people in every country in this hemisphere. They need to be part of what it is that we do, and I'm not going to rest until that's where we are at. So, I want to thank
Absolutely.
you. I want to
Thank
thank
you.
those of you who are watching. May it be that you're watching live or you're watching via replay. If you watch via replay, do hashtag and where you're watching from. I just want to thank you once again for joining me for another Fireside Chat. And to all of our people, buy Black for life for the love of our people. Thank you.
That's right. Good night. Thank you so much.
Good night.